Hello everyone. Um, you're all welcome to this class. Another time with the enthusiastic tutor. So let me just quickly send the link to the group. So the link has been shared to the group. So let's just quickly go through what was it we learned yesterday. Sorry, our class is taken off by this time. It's quite late at night, but just has to be like this because I'm just returned from work not long ago, and I just have to start with the class immediately. So as we wait for others, we can just quickly go through what we studied yesterday. Okay, we have somebody with us now. Please do well to signify, do well to introduce yourself as you join the class. Tonight will not be taking too long in the class. Just have to go straight to it, because we all need to get our rest. It's been a long day. It's been a long day, so we all need to get our rest. So I will have you please introduce yourself so that we can go straight to it. Is this Mr. Peter or Mr. Ronald? Or um, please, I'll have you introduce yourself quickly so we can go ahead. And before we go into the class, I will have us please pay attention to something. Please pay attention to this. In my subsequent video, oh, Mr. Jolas, thank you very much. You are always punctual. It's a thumbs up to you. Always punctual. Hopefully, Mr. Peter will join us as we comment. So, as I was saying, I really want us to be particular about something. Whenever assignment is being given out, please, I need us to attempt the assignment. Let's not forget it's a classroom. And please, if you can hear me loud and clear, please signify. I'm using my headset now, and I need to be sure if you can hear me loud and clear. So as I was saying, whenever assignment is being awesome. Whenever assignment is being given out, thank you, Mr. Jolas. Whenever assignment is being given out, please let us do well to attempt it. Okay, we have somebody joining us too. Please do well to identify yourself as you join us. I know we have Mr. Jolas already. Is that Mr. Peter or who exactly just joined us? So as I was saying, whenever assignment is being given out, please let us attempt the assignments. That is one way which we test our intelligence. That's one way you confirm what you have learned. Let me not say I was a bit surprised. I was actually startled this afternoon. Assignments were given out, and some persons actually responded to the assignment. But one thing I noticed that actually caused me pain, that made my heart bleed, is that a lot of persons that submitted this assignment, they get the concept behind my explanation. But one thing I noticed is that many of them could not express themselves in writing. And it pains me so much because National Open University is one school. It's an institution that don't really care what you do, especially in your 100 and 200 level. National Open University doesn't really care whether you read or not, whether you can express yourself in a written format or not. As I have said earlier on, your exam in 100 level and 20 level, they are all computer based, and your computers are not set to auto correct whatever it is you have typed. If you know the correct answer and probably you have forgotten how to type this correct answer, if you come across a question whereby you need to fill in the gap, because it's not all questions that comes with objectives. If you come across a question that you need to fill in the gap, and if by chance you forgot an alphabet, you know the answer. It's not as if you don't know the answer. And if by chance you forgot the alphabet, just one alphabet among these letters, the computer will mark you down. So please, this assignment that I keep on giving at the end of every class is very, very essential. It's one way is one way to develop each other, to know that okay, we are moving forward. So with this being said, let's just go straight into it. So yesterday we discussed about the description of psychology, and we spoke about how psychology has been overrated and how it has been underrated. So we won't be dwelling so much on what we did yesterday, as we'll be moving forward ASAP. So now we have in today's class we'll be talking about the definitions. Yeah, talking about the definitions. I'm trying to scroll. Please, you can locate the page on your hard copy material so that we don't waste much time. I'm trying to get the page also. Okay, now definitions of psychology now. So I have written down here, to make our class easy and straightforward today, I have written down here Marshall Temple in 1984. Now, under the definition of psychology, I have one psychologist known as Marshall Temple in 1984. I might not be following the material back to back, word for word, but I noticed that in order for us to spend so much time tonight, I read before now, and from what I have read in the material, I was able to coin out a simpler definitions to terms. So let's just pay attention. Marshall, the first definition by a psychologist called Marshall Temple in 1984. Okay, he opined that what would life had been if we had no idea what effect our behavior have on others. Now, I am under the definition of psychology, and a psychologist here defines, makes an opinion, opines that what will life have been if if our idea of how our behavior affect others. Now let me take that again. Marshall Temple in 1984 opined that what would life had been if we had no idea what effect our behavior would have on others. If a smile is answered by a kick, an angry shout by a friendly greeting. Please, if you have that written down, just signify so that I can know we are on the same page. Let me take that again. Marshall Temple in 1984. He opined that what would life had been if we had no idea what effect our behavior would have on others. If a smile is answered by a kick, an angry shout by a friendly greeting, meaning that if somebody greets you in a friendly manner and you respond with an angry shout, somebody wants to embrace you, or somebody smiles at you and you respond with a kick. So is now he opined that what how miserable this life would have been if we have no idea what our action, the effect our action has on others. Please, I need you to use the comments and let me know if we are on the same page. Let me know if you have that written, if you've gotten that, so that we can move on as well. So while I wait for your response, I'll just move on then. Okay, awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. So let me just go straight to it. Now, another point is the most succinct. The most succinct. Okay, now we have the most succinct. Succinct in the sense that a clear and a precise, brief definition of psychology. I think it's here on the material. The most succinct. Succinct simply means the clear, brief, and precise definition of psychology is that psychology is the scientific study of behavior. So, in case you come across the question, what is psychology? Definitely, you're not going to be asked to define psychology because your question is just going to be objective and subjective. But in between the line, I want you to read in between the line. Psychology is the scientific study of behavior. Now, I hope we have taken that down. So we have the next point I want you to take down now is from Alsana 2000. Alsana in the year 2000 said that majority, now when I say Alsana 2000, then you put apostrophe, like two dots. You put dots in the front. When I say Alsana 2000, then you put two dots. So now, after you have done that, said majority of psychologists are interesting are interested in exclusively in the study of people. Okay, let me get that from the material. I think I missed something there. Asana. Okay, where is that? Okay, yeah. He said many people. Okay, yeah. Okay, okay, I think, yeah. He said Alsana 2000 said majority of psychologists are interested in study human behaviors, and they would insert the word world. Okay, let me just take that from the material. Let me not get us confused with that. Now, what Asana said in the year 2000, she said, or he said, I don't know whether Asana is a he or a she, but according to Asana in 2000, many people will insert the word human in this definition of psychology, as vast majority of psychologists are interested exclusively in studying human behavior. Now, to make that easy for us, Alsana said in the year 2000 that majority of psychologists are interested exclusively in studying human behavior. That is the bottom line of psychology. And who said this? The person is Alsana. In what year? In the year 2000. Please, as soon as you have gotten that, as soon as you have grabbed that point, tell me so that we can just move on straight ahead. So we have B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner is another paragraph now. B.F. Skinner. Now, B.F. Skinner said that psychologists carry out many experiments using rats, pigeons, and other animals to understand how they respond to their environment. Now, who is saying this? B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner said that psychologists most likely prefers to use animals like rats, pigeons, and other animals to understand how they respond to their environment. That is B.F. Skinner. He said something about psychologists prefer to use rats, pigeons, and other animals, experiment on them, then know how they respond to their environment. Studying animals allows researchers, a new paragraph now, Studying animals allows researchers to carry out experiments and extend the results into human domain. Very true. I believe if we are I watch American movies a lot, and I watch all these scientists doing their thing in their lab. I think there's this movie I watched called is it Mobius or Mobis? It's more of an horror. There's a guy who has more of a leprosy, and he couldn't walk well. Some part of his body are paralyzed, and he was a scientist. So they usually use mice in their lab. They experiment on them. Then, after they have experimented, and if they see that the result is positive, that if the result can work perfectly on them, then it will work perfectly on man too. So Skinner, B.F. Skinner is the one who said all these things. B.F. Skinner said scientists prefer most time to perform experiments on animals like rats, pigeons, and mice. Yeah, mice too. Then after they are done experimenting on these animals, they will now extend the results into human domain. I believe we have that written down. So we have subjects like rats and mice are easily recruited by psychologists for experiments. So we have subjects, they are no longer animals now. I mean, the subject of the experiment. Now they are now subjects because in the lab, it's on the animal they are going to experiment. So the animals are referred to as subjects. Now they prefer to use these subjects because they are easily recruited. You can easily get them. That's why you not ordinarily see a human being who will just submit his or herself for scientists to experiment on them. I believe we get that clearly. So let's just move on straight. In some cases, I'm now on page 24 on the material now. In some cases, psychologists have used animals such as, okay, I think we've done that, such as rats and the likes. Okay, so now we have psychologists generally study human behavior and try to understand why people behave the way they do. I think we've taken that down. Psychologists generally study human behavior and try to understand why people do. We said in definition of psychology that the succinct definition of psychology, we said it is the scientific study of human behavior. I think we've covered that. I think it skipped there a little bit, so I'll just take that again. It said our fourth self-assessment, our fourth set of assessment says in this class tonight, it says state two reasons why some psychologists study animals. And just like what we said earlier on, the reason why psychologists experiment on animals, why they study animals, is because animals are easy to recruit. You understand? They are very much easy and available to recruit. So that is one reason. And it's not also safe to experiment on humans. It's safe to experiment on animals compared to human beings. So that is that for that. Now we have the next paragraph. It said it is important for you to remember that it is important for you to remember that psychology is a study that okay, let me tell that again. It is important for you to remember that psychology is the science that studies behavior and what goes on in the mind that causes behavior to occur. Okay, I think we've spoken about that in our previous class. In what we have been saying before now, it said psychology is the study of human human behavior and what goes on in the mind that causes behavior to occur. That is just the bottom line of psychology. Psychology has to do with the concept of learning. Okay, I think we can take this down. Psychology has to do with the concept of learning, memory, perception, motivation, and personality trait. Okay, Mr. Jolas, I haven't heard I haven't seen your comments in about 10 minutes now. In about 5 minutes now. So please, are we together? Mr. Jolas, are you there? Please do well to drop your comment. Let me be sure we are all together. Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. So let's just move forward. Let's take this point down. Psychology has to do with the concept of learning. Psychology has to do with the concept of learning, memory, perception, behavior, and personality traits. I believe we have taken that down. So we have all these concepts lead to the behavior. Definitely, all these concepts lead to behavior. Behavior in this context may mean anything that we do, such as thinking. Okay, that's not necessary. Let's just skip that. Okay, now let's see what Dennis Child said. Dennis Child in 1979 says behavior to sees behavior to include all those aspects of human activity which can be observed. Okay, now let's take this down. Dennis Child in 1977, Dennis Child in 1977 says that behavior include all those aspects of human activity which can be observed. Anything human being does that can be observed is what Dennis Child referred to as behavior. So according to Dennis Child, all those aspects of human activity which can be observed is what he referred to as behavior. So I hope that is gotten. So let's just move to the next thing. So we have psychology as an ancient discipline was part of philosophy. Okay, who said that? Let's see quickly. Okay, personal experience which can only be studied acting. Let's just take this down as on a new paragraph. Psychology as an ancient discipline was part of philosophy. Questions like this can come out in the exam and they can say dash as an ancient discipline was part of philosophy. So you already know what the answer is. Psychology as an ancient discipline was part of philosophy. See, one thing about the way we are taking this class is that we are taking the material from paragraph to paragraph. Believe me, if you can do all this to all your material, there's no way they want to set question from that you will not have an idea. Because why? You have gone through the hard work. This is the hard work we are going through. It might not be interesting, might not be fast, but this is the hard work. So let's just go through it diligently, and believe me, you'll smile when you are in the exam, or others will struggle, but you will just be smiling because what? You've done the needful. So let's go back to that quickly. Psychology as an ancient discipline was part of philosophy. So now they went on by saying Orgy in 1986 submitted that philosophical views would appear relevant because psychology has to do with the behavior and to some extent the nature of man and how he relates to his environment. Okay, now you can just take this down quickly. Orgy in 1986. Orgy in 1986 submitted that, okay, you can just change it to Orgy in 1986 said that philosophical view would appear irrelevant because psychology has to do with behavior and to some extent the nature of man. Okay, now let's just say this. Let's just put it like this. Orgy in 1986 said that philosophical view will be useless without the involvement of psychology. Did we get that? Orgy 1986 said that philosophical views will be useless or will be of no use without the in without the without the introduction, that was not what I used before, but I think I'm missing the word now. Without the introduction or without the involvement of psychology. I believe you understand that, because psychology is the study of human beings and how they behave, what goes on in the mind of human beings and why they react based on what goes on in their mind. So that is just the point. Please, if you are getting it, please let me know so that we can know we are on the same page. So Iwuji 1981 also said something. He stated categorically that psychology cannot explain human behavior without some philosophical assumption about nature. So does this mean that psychology and philosophy, they work hand in hand? According to this definition by Iwuji in 1981, stated that psychology cannot explain human behavior without philosophical assumption about human nature. So to put this down, just say that Iwuji 1981 stated that psychology cannot explain human behavior without philosophical assumption about human nature. Who said this thing? Iwuji in 1981. Are we together? So now let's continue. So just quickly go back to that. I think I skipped. Okay, I think I skipped a little bit. So okay, just give me a minute, please. I'm trying to get back on the material. My system skipped a lot. Okay, we'll not be spending so much. Okay, now I have it here. I have it back. So we'll not be spending too much time on this, because what's the time now? We need to go and have our rest after 12. By 12:30, we should be rounding up. So what we have next is it says, let us cite an example to ensure you understand our decision. For example, for the psychologist, the variety of human conduct and morally neither good or bad, they are simply forms of behavior to be studied. Did you get that? Did you get a point from there? He said, for the psychologist, the varieties of human conduct are morally neither good or bad. Meaning that nobody has a good character or nobody has a bad character. Psychologists said the varieties of human conduct are morally neither good nor bad. They are simply forms of behavior to be studied. Meaning that whether you behave in a good way or a bad way, something must have influenced it. So morally, nobody is good or bad. But for philosophers, some forms of behavior are morally good and others are bad. So philosophers basically do not really study human behavior. They just make assumptions based on the outcome. But psychology goes deep by studying what must have been the case that this person did what he did. Are we getting what I'm saying? So let's move on. So we have psychology studies such actions or behavior empirically. Now the word empirically means something that has to do with facts, fact proven. Philosophy just makes assumptions based on past experience, but psychology does not just make assumptions. Psychology, as I say, psychology is not just common sense. You remember in our last class, psychology is not common sense, because psychology now has to do with the scientific studying of results, of reactions, of behavior. That's what I'm saying here now. Psychology studies such action or behavior empirically. Now, what behavior is psychology studying empirically? The fact that we say something about human conduct and neither human conduct morally are neither good nor bad. So now psychology studies this behavior morally that we said is not good nor bad. Psychology studies it empirically. All these things we are saying, they are just interwoven. The bottom line is that human beings' behavior are being studied scientifically. And when anything we say science, there is a method, a systematic method to it, meaning precept after precept, one chapter after the other. That's the process of the studying. So I believe that is clear enough. Okay, it said this may be why Child 1977 saw psychology as a discipline with a wide area of interest. Okay, that was what Child said the other time. Say he saw psychology as a wide discipline. Yeah, that was Child. He said something about psychology is wide and he have a large area of interest. So that is that for that. So we have while many writers of psychology textbook give different definition of the subject area, a common thread still runs through this definition. Zimbardo 1992 captures the view of many by suggesting that the goals of psychology are, now please note this, the goals of psychology by Zimbardo 1992. Are we taking that down? Excuse me. Mr. Jolas, are we together? Are you lost anywhere? Are we together? Okay, while I wait for you to respond, Zimbardo 19. Oh, awesome. Zimbardo in 1992 captures the view of many by suggesting the goals of psychology. So Zimbardo in 1992 suggests the following goals of psychology. So 1, to objectively describe the behavior of individuals. Now let me rephrase that for you. Objective studying of human behavior. Objective studying, or the study of human behavior objectively. The study of human behavior objectively. Secondly, to develop an understanding of the causes and consequences of what behavior, using explanations which are based upon the best available evidence and creative imagination. We said something about objectivity. Objectivity has to do with facts. Now this number 2 simply means that to develop an understanding of the causes and consequences of human behavior according to available facts. To develop an understanding of the causes and consequences of human behavior according to available facts. Now, to predict accurately if, when, how, in what form from a given situation. To just put this well, to predict accurately what led to a situation. Are we together? To predict accurately what led to a given situation. So we have the fourth one, which is to demonstrate that it is possible to control a given behavior response by making it start, stop, or vary in some predictable way. Okay, now, very well. So thank you very much for that, Mr. Jolas. So we have the fourth one, which is to demonstrate that it is possible to control human to control and predict human behavior. So that's the first one. It is easy to it is to demonstrate. Are you getting me? The goals of psychology. To demonstrate that it is possible to control and predict human behavior. So we are running off now. So Zimbardo also suggests using psychology in ways that can improve quality of lives of individuals and of society in general. Okay, that's Zimbardo. He also suggests how we can use psychology to improve the quality of lives of individuals and society in general. So very well, we have conclusion, and this is where we'll call it a day. We'll call it close the curtain on today's class. Conclusion says, in this unit, you have learned some description of psychology. Psychologists differ in their description of psychology because psychology is a relatively new discipline. Relatively in the sense that it is not so new, but it is relatively new. Okay, now in addition, psychology already covers a diverse range of subjects. Given this, are we together? So as I was saying, I think the network breached it a little bit there. So it says in addition, psychology already covers a diverse range of subjects. Given this situation, psychologists working in different areas see psychology in slightly different ways. All this we have established in our previous discussion. Psychology is mainly concerned with systematic, which is the scientific. Okay, yes, the network was off at a time. Yes, I also noticed that here. So that's why I'm taking the conclusion again. I'm going back and I'm reading it again. So it is said here that in this study, unit 1, we have spoken about, we've learned the different description of psychology from different psychologists, and we have also learned different definition from different psychologists, and we also made to understand that everybody has their own opinion and view about psychology because psychology is relatively new, and we said something about psychology covers a diverse range of field. So I think that is clear enough. And we also said something about something we keep pondering upon. Psychology has to do with systematic studying of human behavior. And let's not forget that the word systematic is gotten from the scientific way of doing things, scientific method of doing things. That's where the word systematic comes from. Because anything scientific is systematic, and anything systematic has to do with science. So we have that as that. So the summary says what you have learned in this unit concern description and definition and perspective. Okay, how different scholars sees it, how different psychologists sees it. So the unit has also served to introduce you to the unit. Okay, I think that is just that for that. And our tutored mark assignment, please, this tutored mark assignment, let's do well to do it. You don't have to write too much, just state a thing or two so that we can know that yes, the class was very impactful. You understand? So the first lesson outline says state 2 reasons why psychologists do not always agree on common description of psychology. I think we all let me just give us a hint on this. We said that in our previous class that you know it's either a psychologist overrate it, exaggerate psychology, or underrate it. Now, we now said we make example of a psychologist who is in the line of education. A psychologist's line of education is going to be his own perspective or our own perspective will be different from psychology, which is in the line of psychiatry. I think we are getting that. And basically, psychology covers a wide range of field, and moreover, psychology is still developing. I've almost said everything. Those are just few points, but if you are following the class, you would have known this answer. Now, from your understanding of our discussion, how would you define psychology? I'll leave that for you to answer. I think it's something I have said over and over again, so I won't be telling us that. I look forward to seeing your response in the comment section. You can use the comment section to comment, and as well, you can reach out to me on WhatsApp. You have the WhatsApp details of me, and you can reach out to me. So this is the end of the class for today. So tomorrow we'll continue, and I tomorrow is going to be loaded because I might not be reading through the material. I must have done my own. I might have made my own notes to be straightforward and loaded. And sometime in this week, we are going to find a time where we are going to do our MTH 105. I would have loved to do this night, but as you can see, the whole room is dark. I just had to use my system as the background of my system light, my phone to stream. So please, it might be tomorrow. Even though it's 5 minutes in that class, it might be tomorrow, but we're going to take something on it. Thank you very much, Mr. Jolas. Mr. Peter, I think he's maybe has slept off or something. I believe he can also watch this. Get to catch up with us when I send this to the group. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next class. Bye.